Okay, I'm going to make this video in an attempt to document how to repair, maybe make a better Puch clutch. You can see the Puch 2 shoe, it starts to break right here. On the other side, you can see where one's totally destroyed. It doesn't take much to finish breaking the one that started to break. It just crumbles right out. So, what we're going to do is we're going to remove all this material and try to put in some new of our own. Okay, and the reason for trying this is because, well, I have so many of these clutches just laying around. This is a different one, but now I'm going to mount it to the bench in order to use the Dremel to remove the excess material I couldn't get with a punch or screwdriver or chisel and a hammer. So, here we go. Okay, and all I'm doing here is using a drywall screw and a washer through existing holes to screw it to the side of my bench so I don't have to hold it. The bench is like 3 inches thick, giant slab of wood. Anyway, carbide bit in a Dremel on the flex shaft makes things a little bit easier. Starting to get into the snap ring. I need to spin that around. I need it on there, I just don't need it up in my way. So just grab it and spin it around and back to it. But as you can see, it comes off very easily. There's going to be a little more prep work to it than that for the final ordeal, but oh, screw, spring, and just wiggle wiggle, pops right off. Lay the spring to the side. But as you can see, cleans up very nicely, comes off very easily. This is one I done earlier and run across the wire wheel. So it's ready to go. I'm probably going to trim this ledge off so I can have a little more surface material, more of a custom grind to the bell so I get more contact points. The objective is to come up with as much surface area contacting as, per se, a 3 shoe. Because, well, everybody's got 2 shoes laying around. So, anyway. Okay, so, I got a cheap set of brake pads. They were $10.99. They're crappers, but whatever, we're just going to try them. They had a clip on here. Don't want the clip there. I want it out of the way so it's easier to work with. Set it down. Then, come back with my washers and drywall screws. Okay, good and secure, not going anywhere. That way when I start cutting on it, I don't have to worry about trying to hold it. So what I'm going to do now is mark where I'm going to cut. I'm going to stay away from the edge. I'm just going to do 2 cuts because I've got plenty of material here. So having a little, wasting a little bit's not going to kill me. Like I said, these are cheap. We're going to do 2 cuts with the angle grinder, this way and this way. We're worried about getting it off of there after that. We're going to go ahead and leave some of the line. We can always sand it down later, no big deal. Be right back. Alright, we're going to do our first cuts. Angle grinder, Ryobi, very cheap at the Lowe's, better than the crappers that are 15 bucks. Here we go. Almost forgot, dust mask. Okay, there we go. Now I'm cutting. Alright, we've got our 2 cuts going. Now all we got to do is cut this off of there. And I don't know if we're going to be able to do just that, but apparently we are. So now we got a product we can work with. All we have to do now is shape this to fit on here. Of course, we'll have to cut the thickness down, grind it to the contour, cut the thickness down, grind it to the contour of the drum, and we're getting somewhere. Okay, what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and cut the shoe back to where you can see, there you go, you can see that line. Back to where, I don't know, I think it should be. I'm going to try to gain a little more surface area, maybe a lot. Looks like I'm going for, I don't know, 75% more or so. So we're going to cut that. The best way I can figure to hold it is this pair of pliers. So okay. So I got it cut off. As you can see, it's pretty freaking hot. But I went ahead and cut some grooves in it. Give the bonding material a better chance of holding. I think I'm going to cool this off real quick and then start sculpting my friction material to match. Okay, what I've done here is sandwiched them how they're, so I got a silhouette there and traced it onto the friction material. I'll now remove everything below the line, kinda, so that it hooks up with the shoe properly, and then hopefully bond it. Okay, pretty happy with the fit here. I've got a little bit of an air gap here, but for the most part, it's a pretty good fit. And now what we're going to do is we're going to bond this with an epoxy. It's a 3500 PSI plastic weld epoxy system that bonds steel, plastic, all kinds of stuff. We're going to bond it with that, wrap it in rubber bands or tape. I haven't figured that out yet. But anyway, we're going to wrap it in something and we're going to let it set up. And then I can go to sanding or grinding the rest of this to the shape that I want it to be. Alright. About that ink getting in it. That's no big deal. Apparently epoxy dissolves Sharpie ink. But we're going to dope it up real good. And anything that squeezes out, we can always sand off. It is no big deal. We take our brake shoe piece that we've cut to fit like that. We're gonna instantly wipe off all this extra. We don't need any more extra to sand than we have to, and we've got to wrap it in tape. So set that off to the side. Roll of tape. And we're just going to wrap it up good and tight. And we're going to do the final fitment later on by sanding it to make it the shape we want. So basically, as long as it's not hanging off of one side and missing on the other, we really got something. This stuff's got a 15-minute set time. With any luck, I'll be able to work on this some more tonight. Take the backing plate, we run a bolt through it, a nut here that barely fits down into the taper. We put another nut on the other end. We put our shoe we're not working on it. Tighten the spring down all the way so it doesn't sling out. Our other shoe, no spring, maximum sling. I took this is a Dart clutch bell, so whatevs. But I lined it with emery cloth, glued it in with 3M weather stripping and gasket adhesive. Yellow. Great stuff. Holds like crazy. So now we're in the process of turning this out. Now I tried this with the cordless drill, but it didn't spin fast enough. But you can see we're getting some action there. It's starting to wear down. Starting to get back in here. And up here I'm just trying to take that section out so that I've got a perfect match. So I'm probably going to mount this to the bench. Make my life a tad bit easier. Gonna trim that back. But alright, I'm calling this the finished shoe. The first one. I'm not trying to lighten it. I think lightning's dumb, but whatever, some people do it. I'm just trying to make this entire area a contact point. That would be increased from the factory guy, where the contact point is literally only from here to here. My contact point is now from here to here. So shoe difference is only maybe 50% more, but the contact point, I'm going to say, has grown by 150%. So I'll get the other one done, I'll put them in the bike, and we'll see what happens.